Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first data engineering session of Foundations Day 2. My name is Andrew Peterson, and I'm a Senior Product Marketing Manager at CData. I am thrilled to kick off this track with Ojus Bathla, Director of Budgeting and Reporting Systems at the World Wildlife Fund. Ojus is going to share how WWF solved its Workday silo issues and today replicates millions of data rows each month to power comprehensive business insights and reporting and to help drive global animal conservation. WWF puts hundreds of millions of dollars into its global wildlife conservation efforts and works tremendously hard to limit its administrative expenses to just 6% of its worldwide budget. If you have questions for Ojus during the presentation, please enter them in the Q&A section at the top right of your screen. Thank you for joining us, Ojus. The floor is yours.
Thanks, Andrew. Thank you and welcome, everyone. I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Hello and welcome. My name is Ojus Bathla, and I am Director of Budgeting and Reporting Systems at World Wildlife Fund. My primary job responsibility is to create strategies and solutions for efficient budgeting and reporting. I strive to make processes simpler, remove redundancies, and automate tasks so users can focus on what matters most. In our world, it means conservation. I have been with WWF for more than 13 years, and it's in large part it's because I connect with our mission. So who are we? As the world's leading organization, WWF works in nearly 100 countries. At every level, we collaborate with people around the world to develop and deliver innovative solutions that protect communities, wildlife, and the places in which they live. To briefly review today's agenda, I'll highlight the specific data challenges we faced, then move on to how we thought about possible solutions. I will walk through what our implementation of CData Sync has looked like and the outcomes we have realized as a result. Lastly, I'll provide the preview of what's to come for the with the future of data at WWF. Before I get into all the changes we have made and how data moves through at WWF, I think it's important to understand where we started our journey. We have been a CData customer for almost 2 years. I would like to give a little background on how we started. 4 years back, we made a shift to cloud technology. We moved 13 legacy applications, which included finance, HR, planning, grants management, into 3 applications. Workday for HR and finance, adaptive planning for budgeting, and Smart Simple for grants management. We completed this shift in 2 years, and the project was named Project Panorama. The goal of this project was to upgrade our technology infrastructure, define the system of records for data points, and build robust reporting. My role on this project was of a reporting lead and Adaptive Insights business analyst. Adaptive has since then been acquired by Workday and is now called Workday Adaptive Planning. Project Panorama was very transformative for our organization. With this move, we not only consolidated systems, but enhanced our operational efficiencies. We automated tasks, we aligned processes, we set up workflow that didn't exist before. We had reports and dashboards built in individual systems. A fun fact that I always like to share is that I built approximately 280 Workday reports and 50 adaptive planning reports for Go Live. Even with all that work, reporting, however, was still dispersed. We were moving metadata between systems to keep them in sync, which was one of the main goals of this move. However, larger move of data isn't practical between applications. Based on the needs of each team, data was being pulled manually and combined offline. Each team also used different tools based on their preference. Data pulled and combined manually often tells different stories. We needed a space to combine all this data to reduce the duplication of work done by individual teams, a space for data sharing and report building. Parsing a path forward. So as dust settled after Go Live, we realized we had gained major efficiencies by aligning metadata across system, but we still lack the panoramic view of data. What you see on this slide as phase 0 is what we call reporting summit. We brought our stakeholders from different parts of the organization, including finance, fundraising, operations, and program teams, to evaluate the reporting needs and identify the intersections of data in different systems. We wanted to create a full circle of reporting that begins with fundraising efforts to submitting a proposal for a grant, to incoming funding, budgeting that grant, doing conservation work, donor reporting, and then finally tracking the impact of work, which is really what we strive for. Currently, we have it scattered through the systems and it's pulled together manually. We also identified the themes we needed to work on. This included dashboards, self-service model for reporting, forecasting, and aggregating data. Knowing what our end goal was, we picked few test cases for phase 1 to prove our methodologies and tools. For this phase, we wanted to combine public and private funding data to better understand revenue streams. With more complete data, the fundraising team can better track spending to keep administrative costs low. We would need a tool to extract this data from multiple sources and centralize in a target system for reporting. Finding the right software partner was the key. Looking ahead, we knew it would find success if we prove phase 1 with our test case. If we were able to get the success, we knew the impact would be exponentially larger, rolling comprehensive dashboard reporting out to other WWF teams. That would involve combining funding, budgets, actuals, conservation, and outcome data in a way that had the power to really extend the important work we do while limiting the cost overheads. In phase 1 of our project, we continue building several dashboards and some self-serve models in individual systems. But the larger effort was to combine data between systems. Moving data required integrations. Building integration requires domain knowledge. It's complicated, it takes time to build, and it's hard to maintain. Now, to add that, different types of data require separate integration builds. Integrations are often not flexible either. A small change could amount to a lot of work. We were looking for a product that was easy to implement, that was low code, no code, not resource intensive. I'm not a developer, so I don't have the skill or the time to build connections and pipelines with code. And I didn't want to use the time of other resources either. I needed something intuitive that I could stand up without significant time investment, and that was a big blocker with many softwares available. We needed predictability of fixed cost pricing. As a nonprofit, it's part of our mission to be a good stewards of limited resources. That is when I discovered CData through online search. Our security team approved the use of CData. I was able to get it up and running quickly without any coding experience. The flexibility of sync was a game changer. Not only could it extract data from Workday, but also from other applications without the need of complex coding. CData support team was very helpful when the connector were not available. They helped me create a REST API script to pull the data from Smart Simple, which is the system of record for our public and anticipated funding. So the core was in place for phase 1 to start. Now let's look what the application of this data looked like. CData sync ease of use was phenomenal. All I needed was to create a report, set proper security within Workday for our integration user, and I could move data. I don't have to spend hours doing complex coding, building integrations. This was continuation of my work philosophy, make things simpler and focus on what matters the most. So we merged our expense data, which was in Workday, with public and private funding to our CRM data and anticipated grants, which comes from Smart Simple. This all provided insight to our fundraising team. This data helps fundraising team analyze the trends in our conservation effort. For example, are we raising enough money to conserve polar bears? Should we invest in climate versus plastic? What conservation efforts our donor and partners are most interested in? Another example is how are we spending against grants? How quickly are we spending on tigers versus polar bear? Why is the spend rate fast and slow compared to another conservation efforts? Are we making the impact we planned for? Do we need more resources? All this helped fundraising team reevaluate their strategy and fundraising effort. We proved how easily we could move data between the system. It's a big but. This was a demo for larger scope of work that still needs to happen. So what's the impact of phase one? We are bridging data gaps. From IT team's perspective, we save hours building integration by leveraging CData to move our data. But remember, this initial effort was designed as a pilot program to help fundraising teams so they can set targets with more clarity on conservation policies. I only see this value increasing multifold as we move forward. This time saving and better engagement will also reach the program teams in outcomes and conservation, helping them directly drive towards the mission. All this work in data movement is in place for our leaders to make informed decisions. Timely reports makes for better decision making. So with the system connected and reporting rolled out for phase one, we are already seeing significant impact. We are currently in phase two of the project. As I worked on phase one, my team was working on a software solution for data warehouse. We settled on Microsoft Fabric as a tool for organizational reporting. In this phase, we added more sources of data to sync and landing data in Azure Data Lake Storage for ingestion by Power BI reports. We currently have scheduled jobs to refresh data daily and keep the data warehouse up to date. So what does the organization gain from this work? I have some examples. Staff time. Our users don't have to sit and manually clobber this data every month and quarter. The system does the work for them. They save a lot of time so they can actually focus on the actual work, which is conservation. It helps with timely and accurate donor reporting, thus management and engagement. Ready access to cross data across organization informs and amplify the impact of conservation. One another example is a good one is like our scientists, they can go into the system and review anytime how much money they have left and to complete their work. This is available. They can also see the pipeline of funding coming their way. It helps them plan their work better. So future, what does the future look like? And this is the most exciting part. I believe in another year or so, we'll have not a fully, but quite a bit of data warehouse functional. And what does this system look like? One example is with real-time information, goal teams can see what and where other teams are working. Currently, it's a game of telephone. So let me give you an example. Forest team is working in Amazon, conserving forest. Same time, freshwater team is also doing their work on Amazon rivers. They are 10 miles apart. Forest team needs a resource, let's say a Jeep. Instead of renting one out, they could go online, check the resources available, how far the other team is working. Instead of renting that Jeep, they can actually, call the other team and say, hey, we need this Jeep for a few days. Somebody's gonna come pick it up. Information was readily available. They don't have to pay for the rental when we have our own resource available. So their opportunity is gonna be endless. Another example that one of our field operations team shared, someone is traveling from HQ, right? From DC going to Amazon. They need our team in Amazon needs camera traps. They can tell, oh, you are traveling. Can you bring the camera with you? We don't have to ship that camera. That camera can travel with the person. It's all about providing the information readily and our team to be able to use it. Our another major goal is to also use AI on top of this data. We are scratching the surface of AI and there is so much to come. I want to share a couple of examples on how we are using AI in field. We have camera traps to monitor the population of tigers in Nepal, for example. So we use AI on top of that camera recording to tell us how many tigers they have walked by. It's definitely better than someone sitting on a tree and writing the number on a paper. Another really cool example is our scientists are using this technology called ADNA. It takes the DNA samples from the streams and it informs them about the species that have walked by the stream. This is just the beginning. We are looking forward to, how we can use AI, and with combination of this data, it's just gonna be, we can't wait. What's gonna happen? So I would like to end this presentation by saying we want to align our people, data, and tools to build this ecosystem to help our mission.
Wonderful, Ojus. Thank you so much for sharing. That was just absolutely terrific. We do have time for a few questions. And I know kind of as a precursor to our questions that like WWF, so many organizations invest so much in Workday, and to be able to meaningfully put that data to work at an organization like WWF is indeed transformational. So I related to that and knowing that Workday is so pervasive across so many different industries, what types of data are you pulling out of Workday? Is it WQL reports, reports as a service, RAS reports? And do you use the Prism data catalog at all?
So, Andrew, we use RAS reports to send our data over, and I pull data related to finance and grants management from Workday into our data warehouse. We were planning to use Prism earlier, but it was cost prohibitive. As a nonprofit, we have to be mindful of the, how we are spending our money. So we didn't go to Prism, and we chose Microsoft Fabric.
Certainly, certainly. And you gave some great examples of what the impact has been in the field, from understanding where to prioritize conservation efforts to getting equipment, vehicles into the field in the most efficient ways possible. What has been the response from those data consumers in the field to your enhanced reporting efforts?
Like I said, they are very excited. They are looking, and we are in the beginning of phase 2. Whatever we have published, they are using it. It's saving them time in terms of they don't have to clobber data. Everyone is speaking the same language and one source of truth because it's got the information from one place. So they are excited, looking forward to what's coming.
Perfect, perfect. I'm also curious, as someone who works in reporting, how this whole effort has impacted what your day-to-day looks like. What are you able to spend more time doing now that maybe you couldn't when you were spending hours upon hours generating those reports and getting the data out from those reports? Yeah.
Honestly, the time I saved was on building the integrations, right? Getting the system up and running, making sure it's automated. I don't have to go back and forth looking at, jobs. Are they running or not? Did the data move? I have automated all those processes. But like I said, the biggest impact is on program teams because program teams build their own reports. They all have specific initiatives that they're working on. There is a need, again, to combine the whole pipeline data from start to end, right? And then there is donor reporting side of it. So we were doing all that work manually. That has been replaced by reports, which means they don't have to sit every month and do this repetitive task that a system can do for them.
Terrific. We also have a question asking, what data are you using from Blackbaud?
Ooh, that is one system I'm not familiar with, but Blackbaud stores our private funding, so our donor partners' data. That is the data we are pulling from CRM into the the new data warehouse.
Perfect, perfect. One additional question that I was curious about that we didn't quite get to in the presentation. I know that obviously CData has hundreds of out-of-the-box connections, so like you were able to do the Workday connection very quickly. I know one that's a little bit more niche is your Smart Simple for your grant management application. So can you talk viewers through what that process was like? Because again, as someone who's not a coder, you didn't have an out-of-the-box tool. How were you able to tie together that Smart Simple API with CData Sync?
I think that solution was one thing that solidified, CData being our tool. They did not have an API, or you guys also didn't have a connect. They did. Let me backtrack. Smart Simple does not give the ability to talk to the system so openly, right? So I did not have that option or the connector available, and I was like, I can't code. So what do? I reached out to support. They were exceptionally helpful. They actually asked me to provide them the data points they needed, and they created the script for me, which was very helpful because that was one of the systems we were having hardest time getting data out from. So CData support, they helped me through this whole journey and we were able to move data. Now, the script that they have provided me, if I need a new report, I just need to edit it a little bit and then I can get another report running and get data moving.
Terrific, terrific. Love to hear that. Excellent. I believe that's all the questions that we have for today, Ojus. So I wanted to thank you once again, and thanks to all those watching and for joining us today.